So I get a lot of questions from my numerous amount of viewers, all asking me, what is the easiest language to learn for an English speaker? Now, there's two things one must take into account when determining the difficulty of another language. Number one, how close is the new language to the learner's native language? And number two, how much media and stuff is in the other language. Let's take a look at category 1. What is the most closely related language to English? And the answer to that is Frisian, or the Frisian languages, which are spoken by around 500,000 people in the Netherlands and Germany. Despite the many changes English has undergone over time, mainly the influence and adoption of several Latin and French words, the overall grammar, syntax, and root vocabulary between English and Frisian are mostly the same. The only problem is, let me explain it like this. Frisian, in terms of global importance, is kind of, and there's not a lot of resources to learn it or media to absorb. So basically, here's where I'm going with this. English has tons of resources just to learn the language itself. There's tons of books you can buy to help you learn the language, classes you could take, and plenty of other resources. And I haven't even brought up English language media. English has literally everything. You got Shakespeare, you got Star Wars, and the most popular cinema worldwide. You got that Shakespearean interpretation of Star Wars. You got rock, rap, barbershop, country, jazz. The best YouTube channels ever. Charles Dickens, Ernest Hemingway, C.S. Lewis in Narnia, Tolkien in Middle-earth, J.K. Rowling in Harry Potter, Edgar Allan Poe, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, comics with Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, South Park, memes, and so many other things. If I listed them all, we'd be here for an eternity. So then, what does Frisian have in terms of resources and media? Due to its irrelevancy and difficulty of finding meaningful resources in order to learn the language, Frisian must be taken out of the equation, and we must shift our gears toward mainstream languages. Now, this isn't anything factual, and it's kind of just my opinion, but I'd say that by mainstream language, I mean either one of the top 100 languages in the world, or just, the languages that most people worldwide know about. So now, since we're talking about major languages, I would say the answer is Dutch. But Dutch kind of has the same problem that Frisian does. And while it's not nearly as big as the Frisian problem, Dutch is still a fairly global language. But at the end of the day, Dutch, or any of the other Germanic languages that are close to English, are not nearly as relevant as the Romance languages. Now, keep in mind that the Germanic languages I just mentioned and the Romance languages are all in Category 1 for English speakers. But the reason I would recommend learning any Romance language over any of these Germanic languages is because of the relevancy. Like, what piece of Danish media do you know about that doesn't have Mads Mikkelsen in it? Or what Swedish thing do you know outside of Ingmar Bergman? And what kind of stuff is in Norwegian? I don't know. Is it even a real language? And I'm not saying that you can't find other things within these languages that are worthwhile, like obviously that's not the case. But the Romance languages, particularly Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese, beat these guys out due to the number and variety of stuff they have. Now, you can make the case that Dutch, or even Afrikaans, is easier than the Romance languages, due to the low-level vocab and, words that you use every day being practically the same thing as English. And excuse me if my pronunciation is wrong, but you come across a lot of these words in Dutch and Afrikaans where it's so close to English it just sounds like it's a joke. Like appel, or hand, or bier. Just words that, that are everyday things. Like, they're the same thing. The big problem with Dutch, Afrikaans, and all the other Germanic languages I mentioned is that the high-level vocab is a lot trickier. For example, take this word, pollution, in French, pollution, or in Spanish, pollución. It's like the same thing, just the pronunciation has changed. But in Dutch, pollution is... yeah. And I know there are words that are more complicated than just that, but if you pick any one of these Germanic languages, generally the high-level vocab is going to be pretty difficult. But ultimately, I would say any one of these languages in Category 1 is pretty easy for an English speaker. And when you're deciding which one to learn, it just depends on how you look at things and what you prefer in terms of pros and cons. If you decide to learn a Category 1 Germanic language, the pros are the low-level vocab is easy and similar to English, as well as the grammar and syntax being easy and similar to English. But the cons are high-level vocab being quite difficult, and the lack of media and meaningful resources to go about learning the language. Now, if you end up picking a Romance language, the pros are medium to high-level vocab being very recognizable, and there's plenty of media and resources to go about learning these languages. Now, the cons of learning a Romance language as opposed to a Germanic language would be the low-level vocab is different from English, and the overall grammar and syntax is also different from English. So in the end, when we answer the question we asked in the beginning, what is the easiest language to learn for an English speaker? I would say the answer is either Dutch or Afrikaans or Spanish. It just depends on what lens you're looking through. For the Germanic side, I pick either Dutch or Afrikaans, and keep in mind, Afrikaans is extremely similar to Dutch. They are the closest languages to English that aren't on Frisian level irrelevancy, and like I said before, with the low-level vocab and the overall grammar and syntax being very similar. And on the Romance side, I pick Spanish because it has the easiest phonology, vocab, and grammar of any of the Romance languages. And if you're American, you could be surrounded by Spanish speakers depending on where you live, and it could be very easy to pick up the language. The media and resources category could already be taken care of just by interacting with native speakers daily. Spanish also has tons of programs and classes and books and whatnot just to help you learn the language. Even if its literature and media might not be the best, I mean, I'm not sure, I haven't really studied French because I hear French literature is great. I wouldn't know because I haven't studied it. But I'm not trying to undermine Spanish language media. I think it's great. And there's tons of it, so I don't think it lacks in this category. So yeah, the answer is either Dutch or Afrikaans, or Spanish. Just depends on what your preferences are. Of course there's going to be people who disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm willing to hear anyone's take on what they think the answer is. Alright, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you got a lot out of it. I really hope you learned something. And if you're interested in picking up a second language, I really hope this video helped. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like it, you can of course subscribe to my channel. There's tons of stuff that I want to talk about and share with you guys, and if you have any ideas of things you want me to make videos about or talk about on the Irrelevant Podcast, you can leave them in the comment section below. Thank you all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!